God, may the words of my mouth and the meditations of all our hearts be acceptable to you, our strength and our Redeemer. Amen. Well, there were two sisters who were examining a Christmas card that had arrived at their home. It depicted the stable scene. The manger sat in the center with a child, a halo behind his head, nestled in the hay. Mary, in her blue gown, eyes downcast, had a similar aura shining beneath her. A docile lamb was curled up beside her, and the donkey hovered by the stable door. The younger sister asked, "But where is Joseph?" And her older sister thought for a moment, and then responded knowingly, "Oh, well, he took the picture." It seems that often Joseph is the missing person in the Christmas scene, the one that gave us a moment of consideration there. But who is this? Joseph. Sometimes he just blends in with the shepherds, but more often he comes across as an incompetent, ending up in Bethlehem without a place to stay, his wife in labor, and no one to help him out. The gospel writer Luke mentions him only in passing. Mark overlooks him completely, and John's gospel merely says, Jesus of Nazareth, the son of Joseph. More is written about the wise men and the shepherds than about Joseph. We sing of mother and child, forgetting that Joseph is struggling with an awesome responsibility. Classical artists have painted Mary at the moment when the angel told her she was pregnant by the Holy Spirit. What we've done ad infinitum, more and more paintings, but very few painters have tried to capture the moment that the angel spoke to Matthew or to Joseph. If they did, it probably would have shown Joseph sitting stark up in bed in a cold sweat after the nightmare of being told his fiancée is pregnant, not by him, but that he should marry her anyhow. Now we can hear Joseph saying, "Right, here you are telling me not to be afraid when my whole life is being turned upside down." Think about it. In those days, this pregnancy would have cast a real suspicion around Joseph. In their culture, he would have had every right to dismiss her. Actually, he could have had her stoned for her apparent infidelity. To marry her and take her child as his own would be considered scandalous. Matthew alone depicts Joseph as essential to God's plan. He begins his book with Joseph's genealogy, linking him to King David. That's to be sure that Jesus' ancestry is in order. Next, he tells of an angel's visit to Joseph. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to take Mary as your wife, for the child conceived in her is from the Holy Spirit. She will bear a son, and you are to name him Jesus. The Jewish writer Eli Wiesel says, whenever an angel says, "Do not be afraid," you better start worrying, because a big assignment is on the way. So Joseph did as the angel commanded him. He took Mary as his wife. He named the baby Jesus. He became a refugee as they fled to Egypt to escape King Herod's wrath. And he and Mary raised Jesus and his brothers and sisters. We last hear of Joseph when Jesus was 12 years old. Remember when they went to the temple? That leads scholars to believe that Joseph died before Jesus became a man. But the important thing is that after the message from the angel, Joseph was quite sure of God's call to be Mary's spike and Jesus' earthly father. He adopted his new role. He protected, nurtured, and watched over both Mary and her child. He was essential to God's plan. Now, it's not always easy to adopt the roles that God thrusts upon us, roles that call us to love and to put our love into action. Now, most of us are called to play supporting roles, bit parts we might call them, but they are the ones that can make all the difference. We may not be the doctor who determines the dose of chemotherapy for someone with cancer, or the researcher who discovers a cure, but we can be the friend who sits by the bedside, holding the hand of a scared and tired patient. We may not be the regional counselor who is pressing for legislation for establishing low rental housing, but we can be the volunteer, the ones who shop, the ones who cook or serve the meals to our friends out of the cold. We may not be the caseworker who enables families to have enough to eat, but we can build a tree of cans to fill the food basket. I was looking forward to seeing your tree today of cans, because 2 weeks ago it was really something, and I thought today it'll be to the roof, but I'm sure it's already gone to community care for distribution. And we may not be the teacher in a classroom, but we can be the volunteer who listens to a slow learner struggling to read. Like Joseph, our place may not be at the front of the stable, but we can be sure that God has a part for us to play. But we need to be tuned into the voice of the angels, so like Jesus will be able to hear. Do not fear. It's God here. This may not be the part you plan to play, but I may be born here too, if you will permit it. You see, God still depends on human partners, a Mary and Joseph, and a you and me, who are willing to believe the impossible, perhaps to claim the scandal in our lives, to adopt it, name it, and act on it for Christ's sake. And it's not just to us alone to whom the angels speak, but to the Church of God, surveying a world that seems to have run amok. There's the deliberate underpinning of the Palestinians living in camps, the U.S. president being impeached, wildfires and high temperatures endangering lives in Australia, gun killings on the streets and roadways of Toronto, families in agony over the senseless death of a loved one, and on it goes. And God aches to be born again in the hearts of all who will listen for the voice of the angel. So may we believe what the angel whispers to us, and may we respond like Joseph. Matthew tells us, when he awoke from his sleep, he did as the angel of the Lord commanded him. So I think it is time that we move Joseph out from the back of the stable and place him at center stage. It's an idea that Anne Weems has captured in her delightful poem. It's entitled At the Front of the Stable. I want to share with you. Who put Joseph in the back of the stable? Who dressed him in brown, put a staff in his hand, and told him to stand at the back of the creche? Background for the magnificent light of the Madonna. God chose him, This man Joseph was faithful in spite of the gossip in Nazareth, in spite of the danger from Herod. This man Joseph listened to angels, and it was he who named the child Emmanuel. Is this a man to be stuck for centuries in the back of the stable? Actually, Joseph probably stood in the doorway, guarding the mother and the child, or greeting shepherds and kings. When he wasn't in the doorway, he was probably urging Mary to get some rest, gently covering her with his cloak, assuring her that he would watch the child. Actually, he probably picked the child up in his arms and walked him in the night, patting him lovingly until he closed his eyes. This Christmas, let us give thanks to God for this man of incredible faith into whose care God placed the Christ child. As a gesture of gratitude, let's put Joseph in the front of the stable, where he can guard and greet and cast an occasional glance at this child who brought us life. Let us pray. Come into our hearts, O God, just as you came to Joseph and Mary, and may we be just as willing and prepared to have you dwell within us. Amen.